breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Hey, former Brother Low, welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. We've got an excellent podcast for you. We're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good friends. We're going to chat it up with Curtis Rogers, who does such great work over at 710 Seattle Sports as the main pre- and post-game host for the Seattle Mariners right now. And we're going to chat with him about the fact that the Mariners have gotten back online. They are back above 500, so lots of fun times there. Additionally, we're going to chat with him about how he takes a look at the entire American League picture in general. Some of these teams are starting to ascend. Some of these teams are, continuing to struggle as well. And then in the final segment, I'm going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one or two ways to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at G._D1. Keep in mind, letters the name does not matter. So as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, but we did have ourselves a fun day of baseball on Sunday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Pittsburgh Pirates keep things rolling 9-3. They're able to take down the Minnesota Twins. For Braxton Ashcraft, he was not a load of Ashcraft. 11 strikeouts, 2 runs allowed in 6 innings. Did give up home run to Brooks Lee's 7th home run season. Then he would go deep out for Brandon Bedoy as well. His 8th home run season. Bedoy gives up that home run in 2 innings of work. You were able to get a shutout inning as well out of Cam Sanders. And for the Twins, W. Matthews, not what he was looking for. 7 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings. Take it deep twice. Ryan O'Hearn, 8th home run of the season. And Nick Gonzalez, 1st home run of the season. From there, you had 2 runs, one of which was earned in 3 2/3 innings from Michael Paredes in his MLB debut. So pretty solid there. This was solid for the Tampa Bay Rays. 5-2, they're able to take down the LA Angels as they're in the race for the best record in the American League with the New York Yankees right now. Shane McClanahan continues to be pretty rock solid. 1 run allowed over the course of 5 innings. Casey Lugumina does give up a home run in 1 2/3 innings to Logan O'Hoppe. Very O'Hoppe about his 2nd home run of the campaign. From there, Kevin Kelly, 4 outs of the bullpen scoreless. Brian Baker, a shutout inning, and Jack Kachanowicz. Not long for this game. 3 runs allowed in 2 1/3 innings. Taken deep by Jonathan Aranda, 11th home run season. Mitch Ferris from there in a bulk roll, not too bad. 2 unearned runs given up in 4 innings, only allowed 1 hit. Zach Neto really costed him with his 10th error of the season. Drew Pomerantz, pair of outs of the bullpen squirrels. Brent Suter, a shutout inning, but not a lot doing for the Angels at the plate. 0 of 8 with men in scoring position. We'll talk a little bit more about the Seattle Mariners with our friend Curtis Rogers in the next segment, but even though they went 1 of 5 with runners in scoring position and left 13 men on base, they get a 3-2 win over the Arizona Diamondbacks. For the Diamondbacks, you had Merrill Kelly. You have up a pair of solo home runs in 5 1/3 innings. Tom Canzone, 7th home run of the season, and then home run number 4 for Cole Young. From there, you were able to get a pair of outs out of the bullpen scores from Kevin Ginkgo, Brandon Garcia, a shutout inning, Juan Mario, 2 scoreless innings, 5 punch-outs along the way, and then Jonathan Loaizaga gives up the winner, Victor Robles, a RBI infield single to end the game in the 10th inning as you had the piggyback approach. For Bryce Miller, 5 shutout innings for the Mariners. For Luis Castillo, he pitched the next 5, 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, given up in his 5 innings of work, so he comes out of the bullpen to be able to get the job done there. And for the Giants, they entered into Sunday dead last in the league in terms of run creation. They are no longer dead last here. 19 runs at 25 hits against the Colorado Rockies. 19-6. They're able to get the job done here. Tanner Gordon gives up 4 runs over the course of 3 innings, and then it got worse from there. Brandon Bernardino, a shutout inning, so yay Verily, and then Zach Aganos gives up 7 runs in an inning of work. As for the San Francisco Giants, you had William Adames get his 8th home run of the campaign, and then you would have Bryce Eldridge a little bit later on. He gets his 2nd home run of the season. Then it was home run number 2 for the pinch hitter / backup catcher in Jesus Rodriguez. For Rodriguez, he was able to get that one off of the backup catcher, Brett Sullivan, who gives up 2 runs in 1 1/3 innings. Other home run came off of Keegan Thompson. He gives up 3 runs in 2 innings. Juan Mejia, 3 runs, 2 of which were earned, give it up in his 2/3 of an inning of work. And Robbie Ray wasn't even long for this game. 3 runs, 1 of which was earned, give it up in 4 innings. Tristan Beck gives up 2 runs in his inning of work. Yoel Piguero gives up an unearned run in his inning of work, but Caleb Killian shutout inning. And then you had GT Brubaker finish out the final 5 outs of the game scoreless. And for the Rockies, They allowed the Giants to go 10 of 22 with men in scoring position. That's not great. What has been great has been the Washington Nationals, 31 and 29. They get the job done by a count of 4-2. As for Zach Littell, he has really struggled this year. Good start here. 2 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. Orlando Revolta, 2 shutout innings. Clayton Beater, a scoreless inning of his own. Griffin Canning, well, he got canned. Gives up a pair of home runs. Luis Garcia's 5th of the campaign. James Goodwood for his 16th home run season. Canning 3 runs total allowed in 5 innings. From there, Yuki Matsui and Jason Adam both give you a scoreless inning. You did have Jeremiah Estrada get an out of the bullpen, allowed to run before Andre Motorhone cleaned up that inning with a pair of outs out of the bullpen. Scoreless in for the Baltimore Orioles. They clean up the Toronto Blue Jays, 9-5 the final. Spencer Miles, not what he was looking for, had been very good out of the bullpen, and at starter's role, he gives up 6 runs over the course of 3 innings, including a home run to Colton Cowser, 4th home run of the season. From there, Alex Macco, 2 shutout innings. You had Uriel Rodriguez, Mason Flaherty, both give you a scoreless inning, and Hayden Junger in his MLB debut, not what he was looking for, 3 runs allowed in his inning of work. Kyle Bradish, 1 unearned run given up in 7 innings. Tyler Wells, well, he did not pitch well, so he gave up 4 runs in an inning of work. Yohendrick Pinago, a 3-run homer, his 3rd home run of the campaign, but Uncle Rico Garcia from there is able to give you a scoreless inning to be able to get the job done out there. For the Boston Red Sox, hey, they win a series. They take down the Cleveland Guardians by a count of 9-4. As for the Red Sox, they were able to get some effective bullpen pitching after Ranger Suarez gives up 4 runs over the course of 5 innings. Did punch out 10, but not what he was looking for. From there, Giovanni Morin along with Taylor Guerrero, they combine for 2 shutout innings. Greg Weiser, Aroldis Chapman, they both give you a scoreless inning. And Tanner Bybee, much better than his previous start against the Washington Nationals. 3 runs allowed in 6 innings. Was taken deep by Jarren Duran, 10th home run of the campaign, 9 of which came in the month of May. From there, the bullpen implodes. Cullen Holderman did not live up to his name, 2 runs allowed in a 3rd of an inning. Tim Aaron, 3 runs allowed in a 3rd of an inning. Cody Here, out of the bullpen, he gives up a run. You did have 2 shutout innings from there out of Will Dion, but by then it was way too little, way too late. And speaking of way too little, way too late, the Braves tried to come back against the Reds. They only mustered 1 run in the 9th inning, and they needed more. 6-4, the Reds, they get the job done. Nick Lodolo on the Lolo gives you 3 runs over the course of 6 2/3 innings. Taken deep by Ronald Acuna Jr., 7th home run season, 5th in the last 6 days, by the way. Ore Mateo, 4th home run season. From there, Brock and Roll Burke, 1 1/3 inning scoreless. Tony Santillan gives up a run in the 9th inning and 2/3 of an inning, but Sam Ball cleans up the mess, gets a final out scoreless. And Spencer Strider, 4 runs, 3 would earned in 5 innings. He was hurt by a pair of errors out there in the field. DDA Fuentes from there gives up a run in an inning. The Dodd, Dylan Dodd, gives up a home run to Eugenio Suarez, 4th home run of the campaign, solo variety. From there, Ronaldo Lopez, a shutout inning, but Reds able to stop a Braves team that has the best record in all baseball right now, 40-20. Mets are certainly not going to catch them, but looking a little bit better, 10-1. They're able to take down the Miami Marlins. Jansen Junk was unexpectedly scratched in this start, so they had to go with the bullpen game. But for the Marlins, this was not great. John King was out the king. He had to get the start. 2 runs allowed in 1 2/3 innings, including a home run going deep off of him. It was home run number 4 of the campaign for Carson Benjay, and then off of Anthony Bender, Marcus Semien gets his 5th home run season. Bender, solo home run, give it up in 1 1/3 innings. Calvin Fauché, pair of outs out of the bullpen. He gives up 2 runs. Cade Gibson, 4 outs out of the bullpen, scoreless, and then he had 2/3 of an inning from Joshua White in his MLB debut. And boy, this was not what he was hoping for. Gives up 5 runs, all of which were earned, including a home run to Juan Soto. Welcome to the show. 13th home run of the season. From there, Javier Sancha, position player, a scoreless inning. And Will Kepner was able to give you 4 outs out of the bullpen, scoreless. And Noel McLean was great. 5 innings, allows 1 run. And then David Peterson, a 4-inning save. He was able to give 4 shutout innings. So, yay, verily for the Mets. And also, a yay verily to the fact that you had the New York Yankees really explode, 13-8. They take down the Athletics. As for the A's, Jacob Lopez continues to be miserable. 7 runs allowed over the course of 2 innings. From there, it wasn't much better for Michael Kelly. He gives up 6 runs in 2/3 of an inning. As a matter of fact, I would say that that's worse. Bullpen from there was good. Jack Perkins, 2 1/3 innings scoreless. Mark Leiter Jr., Jose Suarez, lend a scoreless inning. Luis Medina, 4 punchouts and 2 scoreless innings. Way too little, way too late. From there, Will Warren, on the flip side for the Yankees, gives up 3 unearned runs over the course of 6 innings. Trent Grisham, another error out there in the field that costed him. From there, Tim Hill, he does give up 4 runs in an inning, taken deep twice. John Heim, 2nd home run of the campaign. Brent Rooker, his 8th. Fernando Cruz gives up a run in an inning. David Benar, he does not poop the Benar. A scoreless inning for the Yankees, 9 of 12 with Ben in scoring position. That'll certainly play. And for the Royals, 22-37 is where they sit. They are right now on the Angels' heel for worst record in the American League, 6-3. The Rangers get the job done. Jack Leiter lighters it up. 10 punch-outs and 5 2/3 innings squirrels. From there, Jalen Beeks does give up a run in 2/3 of an inning. Peyton Gray, pair of outside the bullpen squirrels. You did have 2 runs given up in an inning by Mr. Gavin Collier. He was taken deep in this one. Going deep for the Royals, Michael Massey, 4th home run season, but Jacob Latz, squirrel signing to be able to get the save, and Michael Waka. Well, the dying Pac-Man voice is out, more like Michael. Waka, 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 waka. 6 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings. From there, Steven Cruz, Mason Black, Eli Morgan, all lend a scoreless inning, but too little too late there. The Miz, Jacob Mizorowski, continues to be incredible for the Brewers. They shut out the Houston Astros just by a count of 2-0 for the Miz. 7 scoreless innings, 8 punch-outs, down compared to what you typically get in terms of swing and miss off, but a highly effective start. Abner Uribe, Trevor McGill, scoreless 8th and 9th innings, and Tatsuya Mai was not bad in this game. 2 runs allowed in 6 innings, taken deep by Jake Bauers, 9th home run season. From there, you had Nate Pearson give you a scoreless inning, and Alimber Santa, great name, 2 shutout innings, but absolutely nothing for the Houston Astros on offense on this day, so that is a nice W for the Milwaukee Brewers, and a nice W for the Chicago White Sox. The demise of the Tigers continues, 2-1. White Sox are able to get this one in as Sean Burke, nice start, 1 run allowed in 5 1/3 innings. From there, you had Brandon Isaac give you an out of the bullpen scoreless. Brian Hudson, Chris Murphy, they both give you 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless, and Tyler Davis get the final 2 outs of the game to be able to get the save, and Kadir Montero, talk about a tough luck no decision, 6 scoreless innings in this one. He did his part. Drew Anderson from there, he gives up 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning, taken deep by Colson Montgomery, 15th home run season. That was the difference as Tyler Holton out of the bullpen scoreless. Brendan Enifee, 2 shutout innings, but Tigers absolutely nothing doing on offense there, so the White Sox, they continue to persevere and get the job done. For the Dodgers, they continue to win games 9-1. They take down the Philadelphia Phillies. Been a rough year for Andrew Painter. 4 runs allowed over the course of 3 1/3 innings. Gave up a pair of bombs as this was home run number 3 of the campaign for Alex Freeland. And how about the first home run of the season for the young gun in Ryan Ward? I believe his first career home run as well. From there, it didn't get much better for the Phillies as Tanner Banks gives up 2 runs in 1 2/3 innings. Chase Shogert, he gives up a home run to Max Muncy, 14th home run season. 2 runs allowed in 1 2/3 innings. And then Nolan Hoffman, he gets 4 outs out of the bullpen. He allows a run himself. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, tremendous start. 10 punch-outs in 5 1/3 innings. Will Klein, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Edgar Enriquez, scoreless inning. And then Jonathan Hernandez, he cleans up the 8th and 9th innings. He does give up a home run in the 9th inning to Bryson Stott. 6th home run of the campaign. If you'd like me at the under, that was a little bit brutal, but still very nice win out there for the LA Dodgers. And then on Sunday Night Baseball, it was the Cardinals taking it to the Cubs, 5-1 the final. Jordan Wicks, not long for this game, 3 runs allowed in 2 innings. And then you had Ethan Roberts give up 2 runs in an inning. From there, you had Phil Matone give you a shot on inning. Trent Thornton, Ryan Rolson, they both give you 2 scoreless innings, but too little too late as it was a piggyback approach for the Cardinals. You had Matthew Lupitor give up no runs in 5 1/3 innings. Hunter Dobbins from there gives up a solo home run in 3 2/3 innings. Alex Bregman, 5th home run in the campaign, but Cubs go 0 of 8 with men in scoring position. Their struggles very much continue. A little bit better in this series than when they were losing like 9 or 10 straight games, but certainly a little bit less than tremendous there. And if you're taking a look at trend-wise, what we're getting in Major League Baseball right now, it has been all over the place with regards to totals this season, and we have been seeing a huge over binge over the weekend. You saw north of 70% of games go over the total over the last 7 days in total. 59.8%, 55 overs, 37 unders, and if Matt serves me correct, we've had, I believe it's 2 pushes along the way as well. Meanwhile, favorites on the money line hitting at 58.7% over the last 7 days, 54 and 38 on the money line, but among those 54 favorites, 19 failed to cover the run line. That's been the story of the season. Favorites overall on the money line hitting at about 55.9%, 482 and 380 on the money line, but now we're up to 114 of those favorites not being able to cover the run line. Meanwhile, the over rate up to 50.8%, 438 overs, 424 unders, and I believe now 24 pushes along the way. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's what we're getting trend-wise. Coming up next, how about if we do chat it up with one of our good buddies, Curtis Rogers, over at 710 Seattle Sports Radio on the Baseball Betting Show, with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the Decent Family of Podcasts.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man, as we've got Curtis Rogers aboard. He's doing such excellent work over at 710 Seattle Sports, looking at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. He's a pre- and post-game host for the Seattle Mariners, a team that is coming off a pretty darn nice series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's dialed in on a little bit of everything out there in the Pacific Northwest, whether that be the basketball front, whether that be the Seattle Seahawks here in the offseason, and so much more. You're able to follow him on Instagram and Twitter/X at a kid from Kent altogether. And Curtis, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Greg, always happy to hop on with you, talk some baseball. And yeah, we're nearing the 60 game marker for a lot of teams across Major League Baseball. So about 100 left. Goes by quickly. And here we are starting June already. Lots and lots to get to. We're still, about 2 months away from the trade deadline, but lots of teams now really, telling us who they are. And we have a pretty good read on who the good teams are, who the bad teams are. Things are starting to heat up across Major League Baseball.
Yep, you say that, and it is so true, but it feels like there's still a little bit of mystery out there in the American League. I feel like the National League has been a little bit more set in stone, and with the American League, I think the top two teams, the Rays and the Yankees, that's pretty hard to argue, but how do you look at the rest of the American League? Because we've been waiting on some teams to separate. White Sox have yet to come back to the pack, but it feels like your guys and the Mariners and the Blue Jays are the two teams that have really been able to ascend over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think those two teams especially have started to kind of make the case that they are teams worth paying attention to. The Mariners especially, winners of 6 straight after Sunday's sweep of the Diamondbacks, a Diamondbacks team that was red hot and rolling coming into that series against the Mariners. But you look at the grand scheme of the American League, we've talked a lot about the Rays and the Yankees, but looking for maybe a third or fourth team that has kind of inserted itself into that conversation. The Guardians are 34-27, the White Sox 32-27, but the run differential is not very good. Mariners 2 games above 500, their run differential is third best, or is actually second best in the American League. So it makes you kind of wonder, if these teams that have been off to, good starts, Cleveland and Chicago, might slip back a little bit and see the Mariners kind of come through here. The Mariners, their biggest issue has been injury and also just kind of beating themselves at times. Whereas, I think I look at the Rays and the Yankees, the Guardians and the White Sox. Those 4 teams have really done a good job, I think, of avoiding kind of the pitfalls that the Mariners have fallen into. Now, the Mariners have a really bad division that they've now taken a 2.5 game lead on here at the start of June. I would expect that to grow. Do I think the Mariners then automatically become, just by default, after beating up on the American League West, the second best team in the AL, maybe behind the Yankees or even behind the Rays? It remains to be seen. We've seen a lot of times where teams beat up on a bad division and kind of get exposed, but I do think there is now, it's getting clearer as to who the good teams are in the American League. I'll tell you this. I think the Tigers, I think you can throw dirt on them. I think they are done. I don't see them getting back in this race. I think you can obviously throw dirt on the Angels. Heck, even the Astros as well. 27-34, they've kind of been hanging around. They're only 4.5 back in their own division, but I just don't think they have the pitching. And how about the Red Sox? 25-33 right now, 12 back in their division. It's funny because not too recently, you had the Astros, you had the Tigers, you had the Red Sox all in the playoffs, or last year in the Astros case, just missing out on the playoffs. So it's funny how things have changed in the American League so quickly. Heck, the White Sox at 32-27, back in 2024, they didn't get their 32nd win until I think September. So it's
super late August, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think how things have changed so quickly in the American League.
Oh, absolutely. With the White Sox, they have been the doormat of the league for the last few years. Now, all of a sudden, they're looking a whole heck of a lot better. Don't know if they're going to have staying power for the playoffs, but it's very, very clear that things have been able to turn around quite quickly for them. And I do feel like with the Mariners, things have turned around quite quickly for them. I don't know what the, shall we say, worst win percentage / the most amount of games below 500 they were, but I think at minimum at one point they were at least 6 or 7 games below 500. And even without Cal Raleigh, what would you attribute the Mariners, for lack of better terms, being able to flip the switch to? Because it feels like they've been playing much better baseball here over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Absolutely, and I think it coincides with Julio Rodriguez having one of the best starts to a season he's ever had. In fact, I would say this is the best start to a season he's ever had. In the month of May, he set a personal best for most home runs in a month with 10. He was really a big catalyst in that lineup and really took up the mantle for Cal Raleigh after Raleigh went down with that oblique injury. Raleigh's still not back. He spoke on Sunday to the media, mentioned that he was still probably a couple weeks away from getting a rehab assignment. So it'll be a while before Cal Raleigh is back in a Mariners uniform. I would imagine maybe the end of June, potentially even through the All-Star break is when we may or may not see him. But I think Julio has been the biggest reason for why the Mariners have now rocketed atop the American League West. I also think it's funny, we talked last week about the Bryce Miller, Luis Castillo piggyback situation. In the 3 starts that those two guys have made combined in the innings they've pitched, their ERA is 1.81, and the piggyback scenario has allowed the Mariners in 4 outings now really had no bullpen usage at all. And Sunday, the Mariners played a 10-inning game. They only used 2 pitchers. They used Bryce Miller and Luis Castillo.
Castillo came out for the 10th inning.
Exactly, which I was there at the ballpark. It was stunning to see Castillo come out in that situation because he has not done well with, runners on base this year. He comes out with a runner on second base and doesn't allow him to score. He gets the win. It's been a really interesting experiment. It looks like the Mariners are actually going to go with a 6-man rotation rather than piggyback to 2 of those guys just because they have a bunch of games in a row with very few days off in between. So they're just going to throw, I believe, Castillo as the 6th man a couple of times through that rotation just to give guys like Kirby and Gilbert and Wu some extra days off here and there in this stretch of games, keep everybody fresh. But I think it's been Julio offensively, and that 5 spot in the rotation actually, putting up some good numbers, even though maybe some feelings have gotten hurt along the way. Both pitchers have kind of expressed their frustration with not being allowed to go the duration of their start, but it's worked. It's been a gamble, and it's worked well for the Mariners.
Yep, it certainly has. Being able to go into an extra inning game and not have to use up pretty much any of your bullpen whatsoever like they did on Sunday. You don't find that very often, and that's a nice luxury for the Mariners to have. And now they're going to have a series upcoming against, well, we've been talking a lot about disappointing teams out there in the American League. Let's take a look at creme de la creme in the National League, the New York Mets, who are going to be throwing Austin Warren as an opener, most likely for Sean Manaea. Just what have you made out of a Mets team where there have been so many teams that have been pleasant surprises out there in the National League? The National League has been so strong, and then there's the Mets that spend so much money for such little in return.
It's just kind of par for the course for the Mets, unfortunately. I just kind of look at the way that they have kind of gone about things over the last few years. And yeah, it's great to sign all these big name free agents and all, but when you're signing free agents, you're usually signing guys kind of near the tail end of their productivity, or at least in the end of their prime years. Guys like Francisco Lindor, I mean, they traded for him, but still, he was not a young guy when they traded for him. Juan Soto is the exception to that, even though he's been around the block for as many years as he has. But I thought the trade for Marcus Semien, that was a misguided trade, especially because of how important Brandon Nimmo has been to that team. The signing of Bo Bichette, you could kind of see that coming from a mile away, especially because of the down 2024 season he had. He had not really shown, at least to me, that he was capable of getting back to where he had been on a more consistent basis. Yes, he had an improved 2025 season, but there were a lot of red flags in that 24 season that would have made me hesitant to sign. Also, trading for Luis Robert. I mean, Robert, he is washed like fresh linens. I got to be honest. He has not been somebody that has really, put the fear of God into opponents the way he used to. And also they signed Jorge Polanco to a big deal, paying him about $20 million per. He's been hurt for a lot of the season, only played in 14 games for the Mets. They're paying him $20 million. So when you play the free agency game the way the Mets have, rather than kind of developing guys, you're going to swing and miss a lot. Pardon the pun, but you're just going to miss out on a lot of opportunities to really develop guys. Now, I mean, you've got some pretty interesting names in your pitching rotation that you have developed, Nolan McLean being the most intriguing of all of them. But I look at this Mets team, Greg, and when you sign as many free agents as they had and not gone out and really develop talent from within, yeah, you're not going to be able to cut corners at all. You've got to really just kind of live with what you've got. And some guys have regressed a ton. You look at offensively, I mean, gosh, outside of Juan Soto, it has been really, really brutal watching this Mets offense work. And a team that is struggling offensively the way they have, you kind of wonder, like, do they regret letting go Pete Alonso, their best bat for a number of years because, boy, this Mets team right now, they can't hit a lick.
Yeah, and it feels like that's not working out for Pete Alonso. That's not working out for the Mets. Lose all across the board. So that has not been great for them. And Curtis, we've talked about some teams that have disappointed, some teams that have been able to ascend. Is there a team or two that we have yet to mention that really has your eye? Whether it's a team that has been a surprise and you want to see if they're going to continue on, or maybe it's a team that you expect to improve / maybe it's just a team in general outside the New York Mets that you've been very disappointed by this far this season.
I like what the Phillies have done since naming Don Mattingly their manager. They have really rebounded here, and I think the early season worries we had for them, I think, are a thing of the past. I mean, Christopher Sanchez has been one of the best pitchers on planet Earth this season. But one team that I'm very intrigued by, especially the start to the season that they've had, looking at the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they've been a really fun team to watch, especially offensively. You've got guys like, obviously, O'Neal Cruz doing what he's doing with his 13 bombs. But how about Brandon Lau with his, 14 home runs? He was an interesting pickup this offseason, especially because I don't think people realize just how consistent Brandon Lau has been over the course of his career, where he actually has one of the highest career OPSs amongst all second basemen in baseball history. I don't think people really realize that he has been a really consistent producer in those Rays lineups for years and years and years. Now, how about the production they've been getting out of Ryan O'Hearn? I know a lot of people thought O'Hearn was going to be a regression candidate this year. I really like what the Pirates are able to do offensively. Yeah, Connor Griffin just went down with an injury, but I think this Pirates team, Greg, they've got some offensive juice. We know what they can do pitching-wise with Paul Skeens. He's incredible. Ashcraft has also been really good. And then they're also getting, Jared Jones back soon? I believe he
just came back, yes.
He has made a return. Yeah, just came back. So, I mean, he's had a lot of hype as well throughout the course of his career. So I'm really excited to see what this Pirates team can do over the course of summer. Do I think they are going to win the NL Central? No, but I think they're going to be in the conversation for maybe a wild card spot. Would be interesting to see what that front office does if they are in position to be buyers for the first time in forever. Do I think they are going to go away quietly tonight? No, I don't. I think this Pirates team has a lot of young talent that I think is ready to take a step forward or two here in this 2026 season.
I think so as well. I've been liking what I've been seeing out of them, and I always love what I'm hearing from you, Curtis, because you're doing such an amazing job out there in the wonderful city of Seattle, day in and day out, looking at the great game of baseball, but you're also doing a great job on the college basketball, football front, and so much more. So, love the good people at home. Know it's all on tap for you, and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, really good stuff we've got here in Seattle Sports. Make sure you're checking out the Seattle Sports YouTube page for Mariners coverage. We have got tons and tons coming your way. Obviously, with the Mets in town, big series for them, especially with the Mariners winning 6 straight every game. Ratchets up in importance here for them and getting closer and closer to the trade deadline. Have some conversations with Bob Nightingale, available on demand. Also, talking CBA, because we just saw the Players Association and the owners make their first proposals. We're still about 6 months away from a potential lockout scenario, but obviously big news in Major League Baseball, so lots of discussion surrounding that. And Greg, always happy to hop on with you to talk some ball here as we start June, start the real summer months. Can't wait for this season to unfold even further, and when it does, look forward to talking to you about it.
Absolutely. Things are heating up right now in the summer months, and a man that is as hot as heck with all of his content, that'd be Curtis Rogers. A big thanks, Curtis, for joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Curtis Rogers, who does such amazing work over at 710 Seattle Sports. He is the pre- and post-game host of the Seattle Mariners. Does a great job looking at this great sport all throughout the year, and every single time he joins me, one such great insight. So, big thanks to Curtis for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Monday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at @GUnit_81. We're going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games in time order. Any interleague games, those are going to be at the bottom. That'll keep things all nice, neat, clean, and easy. So let's get things started. This is 9:51, 9:52 on the card. It is the Washington Nationals. They're going to be playing us the Miami Marlins. Sandy Alcantara goes for the Fish. Cade Cavalli is on the bump for Washington. Washington is a favorite between -134 to a -145. Meanwhile, between +118 to +125 is that number on Miami. 8.5 is the total. Over and under anywhere between -105 to a -115. I made the Nationals a -135 favorite, so wouldn't want to be going past the -134 that I'm seeing right now, but I am going to be willing to lay it. Nationals, they just continue to lead the league in offense with about 5.4 runs per game, and for Sandy Alcantara, just has been a very shaky ride from recently. First few starts of the season were really good. He needs to dial up the strikeout stuff. 6.2 strikeouts per 9 innings is a career low for him. Now he's only given up 1.1 home runs, 2.5 walks per 9 innings, and certainly been able to end great length, but he's more concerned about going deep into games rather than actually getting outs, and that has jacked up his ERA in my opinion. He has given up a combined 14 runs over his last 2 starts, and 6+ runs in 3 out of his last 5, so that has not been great to say the least. And for Cade Cavalli, while he does have a few issues with regards to hurting himself, as he has been giving up 3.2 walks per 9 innings, 10.3 strikeouts per 9, he doesn't give up the deep ball, 0.5 home runs per 9 innings, 3.62 ERA, 3 fielding independent, 3 earned runs or fewer allowed in each of his last 5 starts. A few starts where he's given up some unearned runs, but now faces off against a Miami Marlins team that really has not been able to pound the deep ball. They're a bottom 5 team in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis. Now you do have quite a few guys that have been able to move the line and get on base. Xavier Edwards, Otto Lopez, both of these guys hitting above a 310, and then you've had Liam Hicks do a nice job, give you a double-figure amount of homers, about a 345 on base. A lot of these guys at the bottom of the lineup are doing nothing though. Connor Norby, Jacob Marcy, Roberto Hernandez, Esteury Ruiz, all these guys are hitting at 215 or lower. Owen Casey's been a little bit better, but still at 288 on base. Kyle Stowerson's coming off the injury list. Not a lot of power, only about a 300 on base. Now, the Marlins are in the upper half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. They are dealing with a few injuries with that bullpen, but you've been able to get some good production out of John King, who pretty much had to serve as the pseudo opener in the game yesterday. He, Lake Bakar, these guys have been able to give you a sub-350 ERA. But you've had Calvin Fauché supply over a 350 ERA. Michael Peterson, great name. He's been acting up a little bit as well. And for the Washington Nationals, no doubt about it, this continues to be a shaky bullpen. They're in the bottom 10 in terms of ERA, but Brad Lord, as a long guy, has been able to supply a sub-3 ERA. Paxton Schultz, Mitchell Parker, north of 5 ERAs. These guys have been rough, but Richard Dickey Lovelady has actually been a nice find. He's been able to give you a sub-3 ERA. Orlando Revolta has been able to do a nice job as well. And for the Nationals, you have to have a little bit of concern that this is a top-heavy team. Top 2 guys, C.J. Abrams, James Wood, have been amazing. 390 on base, 12 home runs for Abrams. Wood, 16 home runs, overall 400 on base. That's good Wood, but now Dallin Lyle is able to give you some bombs, hitting about a 250. Luis Garcia is hitting about a 270. Keeper Ruiz draws no walks whatsoever, but hitting about a 280. So some of these guys, Curtis Meade as well, coming along for the ride. Do think as a result, the Nationals get the job done. I like the over. I did set my total at 8.6, and I'm going to be in on the Nationals money line up to a -134. 9:53, 9:54 on the card. It's the Brewers. They're going to be playing against the San Francisco Giants. Landon Roop is on the bump for the Giants, and Shane Drone goes for the Brewers. Brewers -134 to -145 favorites, +118 to a +122. That number on San Francisco, 7.5 is the total. Under is -115 to a -110. Over is -105 to a -110. And I do like the under here. I know that for the Giants, they had that 19-run outburst yesterday, which is absolutely insane. They went into that game averaging 3.67 runs per game, and now they have to go back from being at elevation. That typically messes with teams a little bit, so I think that that's the advantage of the Milwaukee Brewers here. And though Drone has not necessarily went deep into games, 4 1/3 innings or fewer in all 11 of his appearances, because 10 of those 11 appearances have been out of the bullpen. 263 ERA, just 1 home run allowed in 27 1/3 innings, and the Brewers support him with a really good bullpen. They are 7th in the league in terms of bullpen ERA, even with Abner Uribe having the chop, shall we say, suspension for 1 game. He and Trevor McGill have been supplying an ERA above a 4, but then you've got the likes of DL Turnip Hall, Grant Anderson, Aaron Ashby, these guys who have been able to give you a sub-325 ERA. You've also been able to have a Brewers lineup that is just found a way to move the line there. A team that ranks dead last in the big leagues in terms of home runs set up per at-bat basis. Jake Bauers in his 9 home runs right now leads the way, but Bauers gives you a 350 on base. Gary Sanchez a 350 on base. Garrett Mitchell a 350 on base. And then Bryce Terang, Andrew Vaughn. These are guys with north of a 385 on base. Christian Yelich has been a little bit up and down since coming off the injury list, but that helps his team out quite a bit as well. And on the other end for the Giants, yes, it was great that they were able to have the nice outburst yesterday, but still, you just need to be getting a lot more out of Willy Adames along with Rafael Devers. Both of these guys are supplying an on-base percentage that is a 300 or lower. Now, you're starting to get a little bit more power out of these guys. Adames is up to 8 home runs this season. I believe that you've had 7 out of Devers as well. And Casey Schmidt has really been the man that has been carrying the mail for the team. Double-figure amount of homers. He's been hitting about a 290. Getting back Jungle Lee should be able to help out as well. He had a 5-hit game yesterday, and you're getting a little bit more out of the catcher spot as well. Daniel Susic has been able to step up, but I mean, these mix-and-match guys like a Drew Gilbert out there in the outfield, Matt Chapman, these guys hitting a 235 or lower with not a lot of power. That's been really hurting this team. It is a Giants team that is in the top half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. I know that Caleb Killian has been acting up a little bit. He's up to about a 380 ERA, but likes of AJ2 Brubaker, Keaton Wynn, Matt Gage, these are guys, they're giving you a sub 325 ERA. Tristan Beck is a guy that I think has a little bit of upside as well. He spent a lot of the season on the injury list, and Landon Roop has been one of the bright spots for the Giants team thus far this season. He's getting over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. Does give up about 3.3 walks per 9, but 0.5 home runs per 9 innings, 330 ERA, 265 fielding dependent. I think they get a low-scoring game, but I do think that the Brewers get the job down here. I set them at a minus 166 on the money line, so I'm willing to lay the Brewers on the money line. So I told 7.3, so I'm also in on this total to the under. 955, 956 on the card. It's the Dodgers. They are going to be on the road against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez goes for the Snakes, and Emmett Sheehan goes for the Dodgers. Dodgers between minus 146 and minus 156 favorites. Plus 129 to a plus 132 is that number on Arizona. 9 is the total. Unders minus 115 to minus 110. Overs minus 105 to a minus 110. And for the Dodgers, I set their money line price at a minus 152. If you're looking to lay a run half with them, you're going to be finding that only about plus 105, plus 110. I know that's shocky, but I'm going to just stick with the money line here. Eduardo Rodriguez is absolutely due for regression. Who knows when that's going to be coming, though? It's about a fairy tale ride for him thus far. 231 ERA with a 370 fielding dependent, 6.6 strikeouts, 3.4 walks per 9 innings. To his credit, he's keeping the ball in the yard, 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. And Emmett Sheehan is a guy that when he's been away from home, he has not been the same pitcher. Overall for the season, 470 ERA, 403 fielding dependent, 10.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. Obviously, the 1.6 home runs per 9 innings, that's a little bit unsightly, but you take a look at the career splits of Emmett Sheehan. This goes beyond just this season, and just has not been the same pitcher when he has been away from home. At home, 272 ERA, and he's giving up about 1 home run per 9 innings. Away from home, this is more like 1.7 home runs per 9 innings with a 592 ERA. And for the Arizona Diamondbacks, top 12 team in terms of run creation, as you've had Ketel Marte really be able to surge recently. He's up to 9+ home runs. He's back to hitting above a 260. Corbin Carroll still stuck on 7 home runs, but he's giving you about a 380 on base. And then you got a lot of guys between, I would say, about a 326 to a 350 on base. Geraldo Perdomo, Gabriel Moreno, Nolan Arenado. And then you've got your young gun outfielder in Ryan Waldschmidt as well. Need a little bit more of the likes of Anthony Del Castro, Tim Taijuan Company, but overall has been a lineup that has been pretty solid there. Diamondbacks still in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA, but it's been much better this year, even with having the likes of AJ Puk, Justin Martinez on the injury list. Have the likes of Juan Murillo, Jonathan Loaizaga, Ryan Thompson, who have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Paul Sewald, I really just don't trust in him at the closer spot, and that's a big reason why I do side with the LA Dodgers here, as I know that for Tanner Scott, he had that rough go of it a few days ago, but currently the Dodgers team tied with the Red Sox for 4th in terms of bullpen ERA at a 3.13. You have Jack Dreyer on the injury list, but Alex Vesia has been able to give you a sub 250 ERA. Blake Trinan, after a shaky start to the season, he's down below a 3.5 ERA. Likes of Will Klein, Kyle Hurd, these guys have been able to do a solid job, so I do think that the Dodgers do find a way to get the job done. And for the Dodgers, massive home and road splits with regards to their offense. It's a Dodgers lineup that leads the big leagues with about 6.1 runs per game away from home, closer to about 4.5 to 4.6 runs per game at home. Mookie Betts has just not been himself thus far this season, but you've still been able to get a lot of guys like an Andy Paz be able to give you double-figure amount of homers he's been hitting in that neighborhood about a 300. You've had Shohei Ohtani continue to give you a 400 base, a little bit down with the power, but you know that's coming sooner rather than later. Kyle Tucker continues to struggle. I know that it's been a little bit tough for him, but you have to feel like he's going to turn around. Then likes of Max Muncy or Freddie Freeman, they're continuing to give you a 350 plus on base. So I think they get a bit of higher scoring game here, like the over, so I tell the 9.2, and for the Dodgers, want to lay up to a minus 151 on the money line. 957, 958 on the card. It's the Rays. They're going to be playing us to the Detroit Tigers. Griffin Jacks gets Jacks up for the Tampa Bay Rays. Right now, the betting board reads to be determined for the Detroit Tigers, but we do have a bunch of openers on this game, as right now the Rays on the money line do find themselves as a sizable favorite of between minus 160 to a minus 170. Meanwhile, you're going to be finding the Detroit Tigers anywhere in that neighborhood about a plus 132 to a plus 145. 7.5 to 8 is the total on the 7.5 overs minus 120, and the unders even on the 8 unders minus 120, over is even. This should be Ty Madden coming off the injury list, and if he does come off the injury list, he's going to probably be in a bulk role. They've utilized openers for him, so I do think that this is going to be sort of a pseudo bullpen game in this one, and I do like the over. I did sub, I told it at 8.1. If you do indeed get Ty Madden, he's been giving you a 2.38 ERA, but 11 1/3 innings across 3 appearances. So again, you're not going to get a ton of length out of him, and I installed it in those few appearances, but at the minor league level this year was posting up a 4.26 ERA, and the minor leagues was giving up 5.3 walks per 9 innings, less than 9 strikeouts per 9, and it is a Tigers team that is ranking about 19th in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. Going against a Tampa Bay Rays team that, obviously, with just the way that the Trop is set up, it suppresses their offense a little bit more than when they're away from home, but still, they've been a top 12 team in terms of run creation. Yandy Diaz along Jonathan Aranda, both are giving you about a 390 on base. You've got Mr. Junior Caminero on pace for over 35 home runs. He's going to give you a 375 on base. You continue to have Chandler Simpson move line, one of the best base stealers in all of baseball. He's hitting above a 270. You've got Hunter Fiducia at the catcher spot, along with Nick Fortes, both hitting above a 248 as well. Even Taylor Walsh is giving you a little bit more on base than in past seasons as well. Rays bullpen has been about league average in terms of ERA, but has been much better since the beginning part of the season. Now they've got Cole Sulzer back off the injury list. He and Brian Baker, the former Orioles, have been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Kevin Kelly's giving you a sub 3 ERA. Garrett Clevenger was miserable to begin the season since coming off the injury list. He's been supplying a sub 250 ERA since that injured list stint. Casey Lugamina, they've kicked the tires on him. He's been able to give you some good innings as well. And then for the Detroit Tigers, it's going to be a lot of mix and match around Madden if he does indeed go in this game. Tyler Holton over a 4 ERA. Will Vest has been absolutely terrible this season. Kyle Finnegan has been very good in this bullpen. He and Brendan Hennessy been able to give you a sub 350 ERA, but these are pretty much your lone reliable guys. And then with the Tigers lineup, about 3.75 runs per game is what they're averaging. That's a bottom 3 mark in all of baseball. You've been able to have Dylan Dingler give you 10 home runs, so he's been able to supply a little bit of pop. And then at the top, Cole Keith hits about a 280. You've got Kevin McGonigal along with Riley Green, who have both been able to supply over a 390 on base. They are getting Kerry Carpenter off the injury list. That should be able to help out this team a little bit, but and you just have so many guys like a Jahmai Jones, Zach McKinstry, Jake Rogers, Wencio Perez, only below the middle line 200, Matt Vierling, Spencer Torkelson, 215 or lower. Torkelson just not giving you the power that he has in the past, but I do think that they get going a little bit more against a guy in Griffin Jacks who's been remarkable with regards to his splits as a starter versus coming out of the bullpen. Coming out of the bullpen, he was giving up 3 home runs per 9 innings with an 80 ERA. Since they moved him into the starting rotation, he's made 6 starts, albeit it's only been for about 21 or so innings, but I mean, he's got a 171 ERA, 0.4 home runs allowed per 9 innings. So with the Tampa Bay Rays, I'm probably going to be looking at a run line play here. If you're looking to lay a run half right now with the Tampa Bay Rays, you're going to be finding that in the neighborhood about a plus 125 to a plus 135. I was willing to take anything of about a plus 128 or higher with that run line, and 8 or less going to be in on the over. 959, 960 on the card. The White Sox are on the road against the Twins, as you've got Joe Ryan on the bump for the Twins, and Davis Sandlin goes for the Southsiders, and for the White Sox, they're underdogs of between plus 140 to a plus 150. Meanwhile, minus 158 to a minus 175. Then around Minnesota, 8 is the total. Under is minus 115, over is minus 105. Seeing some 7.5s out there as well. On the 7.5, over is minus 120, under is even. I do like the over. I did some, I told that at 8.1. David Sandlin looked pretty solid in his first career start. I still didn't necessarily love what I saw out of him at the minor league level in that first start, by the way. 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings, and he did not walk a guy, which I thought was very encouraging because you take a look at what he was able to do at the minor league level this season. he was able to put up some really impressive numbers, but just not for a lot of length, which I thought that the 6 innings was impressive because he was in 6 starts going 16 and a third innings. That's an average of less than 3 innings per start. Now, in those starts, he was doing a solid job with over 14 strikeouts per 9 innings, but he was also giving up over 6 walks per 9 innings as well. So, have to have a lot of concern that maybe that was a little bit of a flash in the pan. And he does go up against the Minnesota Twins team that hires Byron Buxton, give you over 16 home runs. He has certainly been able to supply a lot of boom, and it's a Twins team that in general is a top 10 team in terms of run creation. They're getting about 4.6 runs per game. I know that it can be a little bit up and down. Lucas Shaw just really doesn't give you power or a lot of average out of this lineup, but still, you've had Cody Clemens move the line a little bit more for this team. You've got Brooks Lee now up to 8 home runs. He's been able to about a 255. Austin Martin is up to a 370 on base. Orlando Arcia, small sample size, but he's looked solid. Trevor Lawrence is going to give you about a 360 on base. So they've been able to do a nice job stabilizing their Twins bullpen has been terrible. They're a bottom 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Cody Funderburk now above a 350 ERA along Travis Adams, Anthony Banda, Andrew Morris. Eric Orze has been able to give you a sub 350 ERA, so that's been good. Cody Lawyerson coming off the injured list, but not a lot of reliability in this bullpen. And for Joe Ryan, he has been rock solid for this team. He's posting up a 294 ERA. His strikeouts per 9 rate hovering right around about 10. He's only been giving up about 0.6 home runs per 9 innings, 2 walks per 9. So, he has been able to do his part and then some. But I do feel like with the White Sox, even though they're going to be without Mataka Birkami for the next few weeks, I still think that they're going to be fine because you still have 2 guys that will be able to give you 12 plus home runs this season. Now, neither of them hit for the world's greatest average, and Colson Montgomery along with Miguel Vargas, both guys hitting between a 232 to 235, but Vargas does give you about a 360 on base. And then Sam Antonassi has been able to give you a 370 on base. Chase Meadroth moves the line, 340 on base. They need more out of Andrew Benintendi, 280 on base, and his home run power has just been completely sucked out of him. And for the White Sox, this has also been a bullpen that has not been great, to say the least. They're in the bottom 7 in terms of bullpen ERA. Trevor Richards is supplying an ERA that's well above a 450. Now, we'll say Brian Hudson, Grant Taylor, both below a 3 ERA. Sean Newcomb has been able to give you about a 262 as well. I just don't trust in Sir Anthony Dominguez at the closer's role. You've had a lot of these mix and match guys just not really pan out for this team as they rolled the dice on Lucas Sims. That was a failed experiment for them. Now they're looking at Brandon Eisert to be able to give them some innings as well. So I do think that you're going to be able to get runs up on the board in this game. I set my money line price on the Twins at a minus 158. Right now, we are seeing as low as a minus 158. If you're looking to lay run half on the run line, right now you're finding the Twins more in that neighborhood about a plus 125 or so. I needed closer to a plus 130, so I'm going to be looking at that chalkier money line for the Twins, but I do like this total to the over. I did set my total at an 8.1. 961, 962 on the card. The Reds, yes, we're on to Cincinnati. They playoffs to the Royals as Lou Inder Avila is on the bump for the Royals and Mr. Chase Burns is on the bump for the Reds. Reds do find themselves as big giant favorites here between minus 170 to minus 180, plus 140 to plus 150. That number on Kansas City, 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 120 and the under is even. Seeing a straight 9 out there. That under is minus 120. Over is even. If you're looking to lay a run half with Reds between plus 118 to plus 125 is what I'm finding on that run line, and I'm going to be willing to lay the run line. Was willing to go plus 108 or better. Chase Burns just continues a rock and roll for this team. 10.1 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's given up 1.1 home runs per 9, so the fielding independence higher than his 196 ERA, but now gets to face off against a Royals team that's averaging 3.1 runs per game away from home. That is dead stinking last in all baseball. For the Royals, they're going to be throwing out there a lot of bullpen pieces because with Luinder Avila, while he's getting the start, he has primarily pitched out of the bullpen thus far this season. 10 total appearances, only 1 start, and he's averaging about 2.1 innings per appearance, 21 and a third innings across those 10 appearances. We'll say he's been better than his 5.6 ERA, fielding dependent more on around a 349. Doesn't give up 5 walks per 9 innings, but 8.4 strikeouts, 0.4 home runs allowed per 9 innings, so that's relatively presentable. Going against the Reds team that they're 14th in terms of run creation, just below 4.5 runs per game. They're getting it going a little bit more with getting back Eugenio Suarez off the injury list. He had a home run yesterday, had 49 last season. Certainly it's not going to do that this season, but you've had Ellie De La Cruz along with cousin Sal Seward, both be able to give you 12 plus home runs this season. Seward up to about a 355 on base, Cruz more around about a 346 on base, but some of these ancillary guys, like JJ Bleday has been able to about a 300, Blake Dunn has been able to about a 280 for this team. You've had Spencer Steer give you a little bit more, Nathaniel Lowe, so that's been big because they had Brian Hayes just absolutely stinking it up. They put him on the injury list, that's a good thing. Catcher spot has been a little bit rough as well. What else has been brutal has been this Reds bullpen. First month of the season, they were actually number 1 in terms of bullpen ERA. They're now in the bottom 5. these guys like Junior Marte, TJ Antone are giving you an ERA above a 5. They are getting Caleb Ferguson off the injured list. That should help. Sam Moll, Brock and Roll Stewart, these are guys that are veterans that will be able to give you a sub 365 ERA. Tony Santillan, though, over a 5 ERA. So these guys have been a little bit rough. But again, who on the Royals is really developing offense for you? You've had Bobby Witt Jr. hit 9 home runs thus far this season, and at the top of the lineup does give you about a 350 on base, but Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, both guys give you less than a 300 on base. Pasquantino, 5 to 6 home runs out of him. Perez is up to 9. You just need more power if you're not going to get on base. Isaac Collins is sitting at 220. Nick Lofton is hitting like a 210, along Lane Thomas. Not a lot of power out of pretty much all of these guys, and for the Royals, this is a bullpen that they themselves are on the bottom 6 in terms of ERA. Now they've got Matt Strahm on the injury list to go with Carlos Estevez. Alex Lang continues to give you over a 4 ERA. Nick Mears is right now dealing with injury as well. Now, they might have Strahm available for the series. That'll help him out a little bit. Daniel Lynch, Lucas Ertzedger giving you a sub 350 ERA, but has been all sorts of rough for this Royals team, so I'm going to be looking at the Reds on the run line at a plus 108 or better, and like the under, semi-total at 8.3, 963 and 964 on the card. It's the Rangers. They're going to be on the road against the Cardinals. Michael McGreevy is on the bump for the Cards, and Jacob deGrom is on the bump for the Rangers. Rangers minus 115 to minus 124 favorites. They're between plus 102 to a plus 108 is the number on St. Louis. 7.5 to 8 is the total. On the 8, under is minus 115, over is minus 105 on the 7.5, over is minus 120, under is even. And for the Walker Texas Rangers, I did set them at a minus 141. I'm going to be in on the money line. I know that Jacob deGrom has really had some home run concerns, giving up 2 home runs per 9 innings. The swing and miss stuff has still been solid with him, though. For deGrom, 370 ERA, 10.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's only given up 1.8 walks per 9 innings. Now faces off against the Cardinals team that they haven't been able to boom the same way at home rather than away from home. They're 25th in the league in terms of run creation at home with about 3.9 runs per game compared to 4.75 runs per game away from home. Now Jordan Walker has been able to do a nice job in terms of supplying for the team, as his on-base percentage has been in that neighborhood about a 360. He's up to a double-figure amount of homers. Ivan Herrera to give you about a 385 on base. J.J. Weatherhold, Alec Burleson, these guys are above a 340 on base as well, but do you need a little bit more on something like Thomas Segezi, Pedro Pajes, Victor Scott? These are guys you can get 225 or lower. Nelson Velasquez is a guy that they're kicking the tires on. So far, so good out of him. For the Cardinals, they continue to be in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. They are going to be recalling Hunter Dobbins to see if he can give this team a little bit of a spark, as Ryan Stanek is flying an ERA above A6. They had to send Matt Savanson down to the minor league level, but Jojo Romero, Gordon Gustafo, Riley O'Brien, they've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. I do like fading teams coming off this Sunday night baseball game, though, as well, and that is going to be the case for the Cardinals. And Rangers, they continue to be a top 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA. They are dealing with Robert Garcia, Cole Winn being on the injured list, but Tyler Alexander along to the Jacobs, Jacob Junis, Jacob Latz, they've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA. Now, Chris Martin has been absolutely atrocious in this bullpen, but other than him, things have been pretty solid. And for the Rangers, offense has not been able to get going at home. At home, they're averaging about 3.5 runs per game. That's a bottom 3 mark in all of baseball. They average 4.55 runs per game away from home. That's actually a mark that's in the upper half of the big league, so they've been able to do a pretty solid job there. You've got Jake Berger who's been able to give you 9 home runs, albeit he gives you less than a 300 on base as well. But all of a sudden, Jock Peterson, he's up to 8 home runs, and he's been able to give you about a 350 on base. Josh Young is hitting above a 300. Ezekiel Duran hitting about a 290. Don't call his name Alejandro Ozuna, about a 380 on base. Not a lot of power, but Brandon Nimmo continues to give you about a 340 on base as well. So do you think that the Rangers go out there, get the job done against a guy, Michael McGreevy, who has been very good in terms of not hurting himself? For Mr. McGreevy, right now, 298 ERA, 1.2 home runs, and gives up less than 2.5 walks per 9 innings, but only 6.6 strikeouts per 9 innings. So I do like the Rangers here on the money line, set them at a minus 141, and did make my total at 80.1, so 7.5 to 8, going to be in on that over. 965, 966 on the card. It's the Angels. They're going to be playing us the Colorado Rockies. Kyle Freeland is on the bump for the Rockies, and Jose Soriano is on the bump for the Angels. Angels are minus 190 to minus 210 favorites, plus 162 to a plus 170. That number on Colorado, 8.5 is the total. Under is minus 115 to a minus 110. Over is between minus 105 to a minus 110, and I'm going to be willing to roll the dice here on the Rockies. I set my money line price at a minus 164 now. For Kyle Freeland, holy crud. This has been a no good, very bad, terrible season for him. 8.08 ERA, 2.6 home runs, 3 walks allowed per 9 innings. Things have just been absolutely atrocious. In his last 2 road starts, he has given up a combined 14 earned runs, 15 runs in total over the course of 9 innings against the Dodgers and the Phillies. I think there might be some positivity here, though. You've got an Angels team that's right now averaging 3.4 runs per game at home. Only the Boston Red Sox are averaging fewer runs per game at home, and The Angels had that really nice outburst against the Rays on Saturday, but still, they have to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast, and for the Angels, Mike Trout continues to do his thing. He's been able to give you 4 on base. He's up to 13-plus home runs this season, and Zach Netto's giving you some pop. He's been able to give you 10-plus home runs, about a 340 on base, but Jorge Soler back down to about a 294 on base, only like 3 home runs over the last 30 days. Vaughn Grisham is hitting about a 240. I do like what Oswaldo Peraza has been able to do for this team, and then you got a few mix and match guys. Nick Madrigal has actually moved the line a little bit. Wade Meckler has been able to give you a bit of something, but lots and lots of question marks with this bunch, including that bullpen. This bullpen has just been absolutely terrible. You know you're going the wrong way down a one-way street when you have Jordan Romano and Alek Manoah coming out of the bullpen, and they've now signed Taijuan Walker. So that's not great. Currently 28th in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. Now they've gotten some of those guys like a Nick Sandlin who was supplying over a 10 ERA. The full Ryan Johnston, though, ID has been terrible. He's been providing an ERA hovering right around about a 15. I do like what I've been seeing out of Chase Silseth thus far this season, sub 350 ERA. Kirby Yates seems to be returning to form as well, but Drew Pomeranz, he's supplying a 6 ERA. They just got him off the injury list. Brent Suter has been all over the place as well. And for the Colorado Rockies, this is a bunch that is in the bottom 7 of the big leagues in terms of run creation away from home. And Mickey Moniak being on the injury list, that certainly hurts his team. So Hunter Goodman is your main boom guy. He's been able to give you 13 home runs, and he's been very rock solid for the team. But other than Mr. Goodman, you have pretty much one other guy in the lineup that's able to give you over 4 home runs. That'd be TJ Romfield, 7 home runs, and he's been hitting about a 285. He's been okay when he's been away from him. You're going to need to get a little bit more on some of these guys that just throughout their career, they've never been able to hit away from home. You've got the likes of a Brenton Doyle, Edouard Julien, Kyle Karros, Ezekiel Tovar, I think a 225 or lower, all with 3 home runs or fewer, but for the Rockies, they've got a little bit of better bullpen. It's not saying a lot, and I recognize that they got completely destroyed on Sunday, but that said, Antonio Senzatella has actually been really good in this bullpen. He's been able to supply a sub 150 ERA. You've got Brendan Bernardino, Seth Halverson, they've been able to supply a sub 4 ERA when your home ballpark is Coors. That's pretty solid. Jimmy Ergad, Victor Vodnik being on the injury list starts to seem a little bit, and Zach Ognos has not been very good as a long guy, but I do think that for the Rockies, they're going to be able to find a way to get to Jose Soriano a little bit because he's been having massive home and road splits throughout his career, and Soriano's been great this far this season. 265 ERA, more around a 332 field independent, 9.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, 3.9 walks per 9 innings, but you look at the career numbers for Jose Soriano. When he's been at home, he's had his biggest struggles. His home ERA for his career is a 4.60. His road ERA is at 2.91. On the road, he only gives up for his career right in the neighborhood about 0.6 to 0.7 home runs per 9 innings. Still not bad at home. That's more around about 0.85, 0.9 home runs allowed per 9 innings, but I do think that the Rockies are going to be able to hang in this one in a low-scoring slog. Semi-total 7.7, like the under, and the Rockies at a plus 165 or better on the money line. Wrap things up with 967, 968 on the card. It's the Mets. They're going to be on the road against the Seattle Mariners. We do know that Emerson Hancock is going to be on the bump for Seattle. Right now, the betting board reads to be determined for the Mets because they're thinking that it's probably going to be Austin Warren as an opener, and Sean Manaea in some form or capacity is going to be the bulk pitcher. I've only seen a few openers on this game, and right now for the Seattle Mariners, they're minus 130 on the money line, plus 110 on the Mets, and I'm seeing a total of 7 over and under both at minus 110, and please hand that to me because I set the Mariners here on a minus 156. I am more than willing to take a shot on the money line. If you do get Sean Manaea, some form of capacity, whether he's starting, whether he's a bulk guy, he has not been good thus far this season. He has made 12 total appearances, 34 innings, so he's been very much a long reliever. He'll be able to lend a little bit of length. He's won 3+ innings at each out of his last 3 appearances, but I mean, he's posting up a 5.56 ERA. We'll say he's getting 10.1 strikeouts per 9 innings, the 4 walks per 9. That's a little bit of an issue, and you do have a Mets team that it looks like Austin Warren might be the opener here. He, Oscar Brisbane, Brooks Fraley, they've all been able to give you a sub 3 ERA. You're getting AJ Minter off the injury list. The pitching has not been bad if they're in the bullpen for the Mets. They're currently 6th in the league in terms of bullpen ERA at a 3.21. The Seattle Mariners, they're right on par though. They're 5th in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. They did have to go to extra innings yesterday, but I mean, really, other than Andres Munoz, which surprisingly he's been one of the better closers in all baseball, he's been supplying over a 4 ERA. He's been able to round it form, but I've got so many guys that have been able to do a nice job here. And for Luis Castillo, giving the team 5 innings yesterday, that means that they didn't have to go to the bullpen as well. So these guys like Edward Bizarro, Gabe Spire, Jose Ferrer, Matt Brash, who've been able to give you a sub 350 ERA throwing their Cooper Kurzweil, they're all rested. They're all good to go in this game. And for the Mariners, it certainly has been a little bit of a slog for them on offense, having Cal Raleigh out of the lineup. And even when they had him, he wasn't necessarily that great. That's been a bit of an issue. They're averaging about 4.2 runs per game at home. That is in the bottom 12 in in the big leagues. And for J.P. Crawford, he's hitting just a hair above the Mendoza line of 200, but has still been able to find a way to be able to get on base for you. His on base percentage more around about a 344, and he has been able to give you 9 home runs. Julio Rodriguez, Luke Raley, combined 25 home runs. These two guys have been able to find a way on. Rodriguez about a 265, Raley about a 280. You just need more out of some of these mix and match guys. Like, you just have not gotten anything whatsoever out of Mitch Carver, Rob Revsider hitting below the Mendoza line of 200. Leo Rivas, whenever they've given him at-bats, that's been disappointing to say the least. Connor Joe has not made things go for this team, so I do think that that's a little bit of an issue. But again, just no faith here in Sean Manahan. Emerson Hancock, I feel like might be doing for a little bit of regression, but he's been one of the better stories in all baseball this far this season. For Hancock, last few seasons, just really did not find it at the big league level. 270 ERA, 356 fielding dependent, 8.8 strikeouts, 2.1 walks per 9 innings, going up against a Mets team that they have been a bottom 16 in terms of run creation. They've been a little bit better recently ever since Juan Soto came back. For Soto, he has been carrying the team. He's been giving you about 13 home runs. His on-base percentage back near 400, but then you got Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette, 5 home runs apiece, both give you a 280 on base, or worse, Carson Benjay, now hitting about a 255. So a little bit of promise there. Mark Vientos gives you 7 home runs, but 260 on base. Tyrone Taylor hits below the Mendoza line of 200. The catcher spot, especially with Francisco Alvarez being in and out of the lineup, that's been a disaster for this team. AJ Ewan to give you about a 333 on base, but other than he and MJ Melendez, nobody else in the lineup really gives you above a 320 on base outside of Juan Soto. So do think that the Mariners get the job done here. So by total 7.3. So 7 or less on the over, 7.5 or higher the under. And for the Mariners, 1 to lay up to minus 155 on the money line. And that'll wrap things up for the Monday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. Big thanks to Curtis Rogers, who does such great work over at 710 Seattle Sports. He joined me in last segment. If you do like what you're hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, whatever you for this podcast, you have 1 of 2 ways we fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at @GUnit_D1. Keep in mind, Larry ZM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like here on this podcast via that 5-star review, coming at you guys every single day with quick set analysis on every single game, every single day. So I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.